right, ladies and gentlemen, programmers, we're going to do lesson 10, part 6, iterating over arrays and array lists. Make sure you get out your notes and you write that at the top, write your name at the top, and then get that signed off after you write down your intelligent question. Make sure you read 10.6 and come up with an intelligent question. So the idea is that you come over here, you go to lesson 10, part 6, and you read all this stuff over here. Read all this stuff. Read all this. Read all this. There's a lot this time. And make sure you write down your intelligent question about all that. Okay, so let's take a look at the spiel and see what we have up next. Okay, what is traversing or looping through a list of data? What does that mean? Write that down. If you don't know the answer, ask me in class or on Zoom and I will help you. All right, so now we're going to try to apply it. Now this is a tough one, so this one's going to take a little effort here. So, but basically I want you to see if you can do this on your own first before you watch me do it. So see if you can do this thing first before you watch me do it. All right, so I'm assuming you've already tried it, anyway, but I'm going to, for those people who are not feeling bold and beautiful, I guess I'll show you right now. All right, so open JDoodle and save it as 10.6. Create an array called array scores. It's a regular array, not an array list. Okay. All right. So let's go over here to it. Okay. So we're gonna go to JDoodle. We're gonna go to. We're gonna click on the hamburger and we're gonna save it as 10.6. I already did. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 10.6. I already did. That's right. Shows it right there. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is create an array list. Okay, so if we want to make a regular old array, we're going to come over here to the public static. We're going to be in the main method. We're going to click right here, and it's going to be string. Wait, no, what were we making? Let's double check. Now that I'm here, I forget what we're doing. All right, so we want to array list scores, add elements that represent the grades of 4 students on a project. Okay. So what we're going to do is go back to JDoodle. Okay, and so it's going to be scores. So that's going to be either integers or double. So let's say double array scores. Oh, I forgot the main part. So if it's an array, we have to have our little square brackets. Okay, double array scores equals, and then we put in our curly braces, and we put in a semicolon at the end. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and put in their scores. So they got on their tests, got these test scores. So I think the first person got 100% on it, and the second person got an 88.5 on it, and the third person got 72.3 on it. Okay. All right. So we've created our array called array scores. It holds integers, and we initialize it in field 3. Let's jump back over here to our thing and make sure we did that right. Array scores and 3 scores represent the grade of 3 students. Okay. All right. Now we're going to create an array list called array list scores, and we're going to put 4 students' grades for a project on there. All right, so let's jump back. Okay, so now the first thing we have to do is, before we ever do an array list, we have to import it. So import UTIL array list. Okay, so something like that. And then we're going to say, we're going to hit enter, and we're going to say array list, and then this one's going to hold okay, so we've declared our array list called array list project scores. Okay, and then now let's see we have to fill that. Okay, so we're gonna say array list project scores dot add, and then inside there, don't forget our semicolon, and then inside there we're going to add our first project score, which was a 35%, and let's just copy that, and we'll just add the other three. Okay, so one kid got a 35, one kid got a 45. People are doing really bad on this project. 0.5, this kid got an 85.2, and you can add whatever you want. And then this kid got a 99.9. Okay, let's execute that and see if we have any issues. Uh-oh. And line 35, it doesn't like that. What? Oh, line 7. Okay, so we got to go to line 7 and see what it doesn't like. So it thinks that I'm trying to put in an integer when I meant to put it in a double. So let's go to line 7. And so if we just put a 0.0, that tells it that that's a double, not an integer, and now it's happy. Okay, so we got that. All right, let's jump back to the spiel and see what's next on the list here. Okay. Okay, we got that. Use a while loop to add 10 points to each test score. Okay, so we're going to use a while loop to add 10 points to each test score. Okay, and okay, so I just added something to the project here. So I wanted you to print out both arrays, right, just to see what it looks like. So let's jump back over to the, see if you can do that. Let's jump back over here. Okay, so in order to do it, you have to not only import the array list, but arrays. And then you have to say system.out.println arrays.toString array test scores. And then it'll actually print out the values of the tests and that. So on the array list, you don't have to do the arrays.toStrings. Anyway, so get that code in there. All right, make sure it prints out. All right, let's jump back over to the PowerPoint here. All right, so now we're going to use a while loop to add 10 points to each test score. All right, we're going to use a while loop to add points to each test score. So we're going to come right here, and we're going to say int I equals 0. I'm going to say while I is less than, we're going to use our first array. So we're going to say array test scores dot length. And then we're going to have an opening curly brace and enter. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of the elements of the array. So we're going to say array scores, and then we're going to use our square braces. And then we're going to use I. No, that's a 1. I. So we're going to go through each element of the array. So we're going to say plus equals, that adds to it, and then we're going to say 10. Semicolon. Okay. All right. So int I. Oh, that should be an I. Int I equals 0. Okay. So let's see if there's any issues with that. Oh, okay. So I messed this. I can't do this anymore because I already have int I here. So this is just old stuff. Okay. So let's execute it. Let's see. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Okay, so it did what I asked. So now I'm going to copy these lines of code again. I'm going to copy the printing, and I'm going to go outside of everything. Hit enter. Control. V. Actually, we'll just put it over here. Oh, wait, no. I'm inside a loop there. I'm going to go outside my loop, press Control V, and then execute it. So what it's going to do is going to show you the new scores after you added 10. Oh, shoot. Okay. So I was confused because, look, hey, it printed this once. Why isn't it printing it again? And I've created an infinite loop here. I forgot to say I++. Okay, so I created it now. So now it's going to actually go through it. All right, so let's try that. Let's execute that and see what happens. Okay, so now it works, and so you can see it updated this to 110, 88 to 98, 72 to 82. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing for the. Now I want you to do the same thing for the array list project scores. But instead, this time you're going to do it as a for. You're going to do it with a for loop. All right, so I went ahead and wrote the code, but I'm going to go over the code with you. So we have our for loop this time. So we say int I, and so the reason we said I instead of I is we already used I, and so sometimes it'll crash, sometimes it just doesn't like it. So at any rate, so we're using I as our counter. As long as I is less than array list project score.size. Don't forget this is a method call, so we have a parentheses now. So that's a little bit more complicated than we had to do it up here. All right, and then we are going to increment through I++. We have our opening curly brace, and then so we're creating a temporary variable here, temp num. And so that's going to equal the array list project score.getI. So we're going to go through each element in the array, and then we're going to add 10, and then we're going to store it in this temp number. And then we're going to say array list project scores.set, and we're going to set the that should be II. And then we're going to say array list project scores.set temp num. Okay, so we're going to reset all the elements in the array to this new value with 10. So let's execute it and see if it works. So there's the old numbers. 100 goes to 110, 35 goes to 45, and so you can see that we have accomplished it. And let's go back to the spiel, make sure we got everything. All right, print out both arrays again, which we did. All right, get those signed off. All right, now you're going to go ahead and do part 6 and move on to part 7. Let me help you with part 6. So let's go to CodeAcademy, and if you want to do this on your own, you can. If not, you can watch it and have me do CodeAcademy. All right, let's use a for loop to iterate over expenses and sum up the total of all the items. Iterate over expenses. All right, let's see what expenses is here. All right. Okay, so expenses is an array list. All right, so we're going to go through and we're going to add them all up. Okay, so let's use a for loop. Okay, so we're going to say for, and then we're going to use I. So we're going to say int I equals 0, semicolon. The loop should run while I is less than the size of expense. Okay, so we're going to say I is less than expense. If I spelled it wrong. Expense.size. And then remember we do parentheses, semicolon, and then we're going to say increment I, so we're going to say I++. Okay, and then so we started our loop, and so we're going to hit enter. We're going to leave the body empty for now. Let's hit run and see if it's happy with that. Oh, no, it doesn't like that. What did we do wrong? Can that find, did I spell expenses? Okay, so we're going to come up here, we're going to copy expenses. All right, let's try that. Okay, so we're good so far. So now inside the for loop, add the item's value to the total. Okay, so we have this thing called total. It's holding a 0. So we're going to go through each of these expenses, and we're going to add this one. We're going to add 0, 1, 2, and 3 to it, right? So inside of our loop, we're going to say expenses. Let's spell it right. So expenses. No. Sorry, I'm going to say total. We're going to add it to our total. So we're going to say total, and we're going to say plus equals, which means we're adding it to the total. So we're going to say expenses dot get, and then we're going to get that particular, well, not 1, it's got to be I, dot get I. So we're going to go through and we're going to add it. Okay, and then down here it's already going to print out total, so it printed out that. Let's see if it likes that. Yeah, okay, so it's gone through and it's added all of these up. So let's eyeball it and make sure that looks about right. Yeah, that looks pretty close. All right, so I think we got it. All right, that's it. So move on to the next one.